Just pretended to do some research there.
Yeah.
You good?
Sorry, my cat just passed away.
Sorry, I'll do it again. The 10th.
See?
The 10th worst Premier League signing in January. A year ago, West Ham paying just over £10 million for Hull's Robert Snodgrass.
You sell Dimitri Payet and you replace him with Robert Snodgrass. You've already got a fan base that hate you, and you replace your best player, really creative, skillful player, Robert Snodgrass.
When he was coming on, Bilic asked him, so where do you want to play? And he was like, this guy's just signed me, and he doesn't know where I want to play.
You can play wherever you want, mate. You want to go left back, centre back. So James Collins looks a bit tired. Do you want to go? Yeah. Do you want to go centre back for?
That might be a token of a pleasingly laissez-faire style of management, now.
True, but didn't quite go to plan for Snodgrass at West Ham, did it?
Number 9. I know you're not going to be happy with this one.
No,
Juan
I'm not.
Cuadrado.
I'm not. I think it's incredibly unfair to pick him on the list. Joe Bruyne, once again, I'm going to call you out here, was clearly lacking names. I thought, you know what, we'll pick someone who's Chelsea have brought, just so someone else can't have them. I'll admit that.
You know, it can be a graveyard for young, promising talent. I mean, he didn't make it at Chelsea, but then neither did Mo Salah when they signed him. Same for Kevin De Bruyne. It's one of those clubs where if you don't perform in the first 6 to 10 games, they're pretty ruthless and are happy to bomb you out.
Mourinho even came out a couple of weeks after the transfer window closed and said, he's not a panic buy, promise.
He is clearly a good player. He was just in the wrong place, wrong time, just a victim of that era at Chelsea.
Yeah, but Salah going one way, Cuadrado going the other, that definitely wasn't Chelsea's brightest moment.
I love the idea of Mourinho as a Dad's Army character saying, don't panic, don't panic, not panic. I definitely didn't panic, I don't panic. No, I just fancied spending some money, that's all.
John McCoon. Leon to Aston Villa.
I cannot remember Jean McCoon at all. I may have been sat next to Jean McCoon on a bus this weekend and I would not know it.
He's such a rubbish transfer that I don't even remember I don't remember a game he played. I had to look him up.
He could be living in my... I'd know him if he were living in my house. It'd be that bloke I don't know who's living in my house. But I could not pick him out of a lineup.
So I'm really pleased to see this name on here, on this list. Not Jean McCoon, but Aston Villa. Because if there's one club synonymous with throwing money up the wall at bad foreign players, it is Villa.
Jean-Alain Boumsong was available on a free transfer. How many teams went for him?
None.
Zero.
Absolutely
none.
And then after 18 games in the Premier League, you know, proving he could cope with the likes of Kilmarnock or whatever, like Newcastle were like, yeah, this guy's gonna be able to keep out Thierry Henry, let's bring him in.
I don't know what Graham Souness was thinking.
He wasn't thinking, clearly.
I mean, I know he likes Rangers, but it seems awfully friendly to give them lots of money for something you could have had for free.
Yes.
No, I insist. Take this pile of cash. Use it wisely.
I remember him signing for Newcastle, and then I remember him being really good on PES 6. But I have no record. Oh, it was a very good game.
Titles, Bramble's crapness was contagious. He sort of passed on his crapness. It's like it got to a point where they're trying to outdo each other for who could be the most crap. And he was just like really calamitous. Like I remember, you know, his like missed time challenges, bad decision making. It was like, I don't know if like being in the Premier League and the attention got to him, but it was like he turned into a crap player overnight. Benny Mcafee, good at Blackburn, he's a good striker, turns up at West Ham, carrying a bit of weight, doesn't really care and doesn't really do it for him.
The initial signing, you wouldn't really question it. He had quite a good time at Blackburn. Yeah. But his time at West Ham was underwhelming.
And West Ham have always had this real issue with signing strikers. They've had a lot of crap.
Yeah.
A lot of crap. And he basically epitomised that. They were paying him a lot of money. He barely ended up playing. Didn't score many, if at all.
He ended up leaving West Ham with a 1.5 million payoff. But in 16 months, he made 14 appearances. He failed to score a single goal and was fined £200,000 for failing to lose weight.
I quite applaud a footballer who refuses to lose weight, because you're literally playing football all day. How much are you eating that you can't lose weight? When, oh, what do you do all day? Oh, I just train. So how many calories are you intaking that you can't burn that off?
Basically, first of all, Chris Samber's agent, what a man.
He is.
Agent of the year.
If you want to tell Chris Samber that he's not worth £100,000 a week, you go ahead and tell Chris Samber.
Yeah, well, some people did that on Twitter, didn't they? So, what a way to endear yourself to the fans by telling them to get over it.
The most remarkable thing about this whole transfer is that not that QPR signed him in the first place, which is remarkable, but then Angie decided to sign him back again after having got him off their hands. So I don't know who's the biggest loser in all this.
Everybody mess around.
Afonso Alves, who...
Not Alfonso.
Alfonso.
It's Afonso.
Yeah, I only realised that about 20 minutes ago when I read his name again.
He had shot to prominence, I believe is the phrase, by scoring 7 goals in the one game.
It's just greedy, that.
Heerenveen, which is
Who?
Heerenveen, which is in the Hollands. And from then he was linked, is the verb, with lots of top clubs, instead going to Middlesbrough, who were then, you know, quite a sizable club.
But on the other hand, the best bit about it was his unveiling. Have you ever seen the picture of it?
I don't think I have.
2 samba dancers next to him at the riverside. Basically just a throwback to the 90s where you would just get these national stereotypes, you know, Italian eats pizza.
Yeah.
I remember him getting 3 against Man City, but that's of course when Middlesbrough scored 8, so...
Man City lost 8-1 to Middlesbrough on the last day of the season.
Yeah, and Alfonso Alves got a hat-trick.
That's 10 years ago. 10 years ago, City lost 8-1.
£12.4 million that Fulham paid Olympiacos for Kostas Mitroglou.
It's odd, isn't it? Because Fulham were pretty much down by that point, and as you say, decided to put all their eggs in a basket. But if you needed a striker, surely it would make more sense to sign someone who's played in the Premier League, sort of knows what it's about, than bringing someone in from the other side of the world who's never played in the Premier League, and you're now expecting them to hit the ground running, completely settle in after day one, and start firing your goals. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
This was a really hapless Fulham team. It didn't matter that they signed Mitroglou. They were always going to go down. I think they had about 3 or 4 managers this season, which ended with Felix Magath.
When I googled Felix Magath, the first thing that came up was Felix Magath cheese, because Magath once suggested to Brede Hangeland that he treat his thigh injury by applying some cheese to his leg. And that probably explains why Mitroglou was pretty much injured for his entire time at Fulham.
Double your money, or not, as the case may be. Fernando Torres for just the 50 million of your English pounds. Off to Chelsea he goes. What do Liverpool do with this windfall? Let's throw it at a big target man.
The greatness of Premier League throwing money around is summed up in these 2 deals.
They signed him to make a statement, to sign a £50 million player, a player who would often score against them, and so it's kind of quite a Chelsea thing to do, to say he is one of the best players in the league, and he often scores against us, so we're going to sign him.
I think that one person in particular might say that 50 million, that he was worth the 50 million for that goal in Camp Nou alone.
Fernando Torres, thank you very much for your service to Chelsea Football Club. You will always go down in my heart as our best ever number 9. I will never forget your goal against Barcelona.
And Andy Carroll, I can kind of see what they saw in him. I always thought like that there would be hope he'd be sort of a pound shop Didier Drogba, if you like, you know, kind of strength and ability to bully defenders and good in the air. But he wasn't a £35 million shop Didier Drogba. That was a ludicrous sum of money.
The way they played football, the style that they played, to then think, you know what, we'll get someone who plays a completely different style to what we do, and that'll probably work.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
Savio sounds like he should be a good footballer. You know, it's kind of on paper, you know, which is the most important thing. On paper, his name sounds like you've signed a good forward, and that's normally enough for West Ham to stump up the money.
Sometimes you lie there the next morning and you think, why did I do that? Some transfers are like that.
And this isn't one of those deals that looks bad in retrospect. This looked dreadful at the time. He'd scored 3 goals in 23 games in Serie B for Brescia, and that was worth a club record, I think. Well, certainly £9 million from West Ham.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
He's a bit of an Ali Dia-esque signing, really. This guy clearly had a very, very good agent because he had nothing to show for it.
And there's another player that if you showed this list to most people, they're like, Savio?
Yeah.
Like, they don't remember him.
They seem to think that he was the answer. If he was the answer, I would hate to hear the question.